Welcome, everyone. We are just waiting. We've got some people to trickle in from their last session.
Is that better, Ann?
Welcome. Welcome. That's perfect.
Ah, good. Perfect is good. You don't always get perfect.
No, I love it.
And we're allowing participants to mute and unmute at their leisure, right?
They cannot in here. They'll have to use the chat.
Oh,
But
okay. All right.
we can keep an eye on that. I can help you.
Good.
Welcome, everyone. So excited that you are here. One just quick note, you do have the chat over on the right that you can respond and answer questions and so forth, but do make sure that blue drop down says everyone and not just hosts and panelists. Paul and I will be able to see everything, but we want all the participants to see all your great ideas and shares. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to the amazing Hall Davidson, another one of my favorite people here at DE. You'll start to learn that I fill DENSI with all my favorite people at this company. So here's another great example, and he's got some really fun, exciting things to share with us.
Well, thanks very much, Ann. It's nice to be here for probably my 15th or 16th DNSI. This is me. This whole presentation is available for you. I'll show you the QR code again. This is the actual opening slide. And this is typical of my experience of being at DENSI and having DENSI participants. This is the slide I spent way too much time on. When we were in person, everybody spent way too much time on everything. The participants would all create projects and everybody would stay up till 4 in the morning. It was really great. So my love of DENSI is really terrific. This is a slide made with a friend in Mid-Journey and then added it. And you can see there's graffiti up there. Just wanting to make the graffiti joke, I had to find the font and download it. Anyway, that's typical. And here's just in case if you can't read that. That's where everything is. And I think Ann's going to push that out anyway. Let me introduce myself. This is me. And the picture, people always want a picture of you. And, you get old, you don't want pictures anymore. This is the first faculty picture when I was teaching. This is on the faculty page. And, I'm old. We did yearbooks in Mosaic in those days. So they were very heavy. We didn't sell a lot of them, but they were good. Anyway, I was in public education for 30 years, math teacher, bilingual math teacher, and then administrator and all this kind of stuff. 19 years after that after I'd been in public education 30 years, joined Discovery Education to help launch the Gen. And that was 19 years ago. And you can see I'm sort of a classic early adopter. I talk about AR, VR. Great session today, by the way, on AR, VR. Two great sessions, one from Phil and the UK team and another from Zenny, a teacher in Miami. I also talked about AI. So the thing is that we talk a lot about coming stuff, but we never really reflect on where we've been before. So this is not about the future, just what technologies are coming. It's more about what we can learn from the technology we've done in the past. But first, because you've been in your chairs all day, we're going to do this. This is a little exercise. John Medina wrote a book called Brain Rules, where he said if there's a school uniform, it should be gym clothes, because if you break physically between things you're learning, your brain kind of resets. So what I'd like you to do, if you can, is let's stand up. And there's two challenges here. One, we're going to watch this. This is actually from a Discovery Education Experience. I edited it a little bit. So it's about 30 seconds. So let's stand up. And the other challenge is that we just can't get the audio to work. So I'm going to kind of fill in. Please fill in yourself if you want to have little songs, but let's get a little physical warm up. Okay, so I'm not seeing, I don't have your cameras on, so go ahead and get up. And here we go, 30 seconds of rock and rolling. This is Shake It Out. So he's doing with small kids, so we can do this, right? Just do what the adult is doing. See, do the leg thing if you can. It's kind of hard for me. There we go. One more. Almost done. Okay, thanks everybody. That's in the how many of you actually did it? And did you see anybody actually doing it? I hope so.
I didn't
Anyway, it's
see
fun to
them, but I
do.
know they did. I know they did.
Okay, good. I'm sure they did. And don't you feel kind of invigorated? Kind of fun to do that. That link, if you don't have Discovery Education experience, um, there's an app that you can use at the bottom. A lot of people may fill in and tell me what they use, but this is actually from Discovery Education experience. But there's lots of other exercises you can do, and some of those are links in that doc. All right, so talking about older technologies, here's an example. And I would love to know in the chat who knows who this is, what this is. I presented to a librarians conference recently, and none of them knew what this was. So this is, maybe this goes back too far. Anybody know, Ann, you see anybody saying what those things are? This is going to be a game, by the way. You're going to get points. No points for this one, but these are film strips. And those are things you used to have kids and you turned off the lights and you put on the projector, and that's what they did. So why is that important? The idea of bringing in resources about how trucks help your community and bacteria, good and bad, those are what the film strips were, is because without them, there wouldn't have been companies like United Learning that then started distributing VHS tapes, DVDs, CDs, CD-ROMs that evolved into Discovery Education, into United Streaming, and finally into Discovery Education, which is today the home of so many great things. Pivot, I said it on the Pivot thing. Videos are incredible. All that happens because we started from a certain place. So we're going to do this, and we're going to kind of play a game. Here's the rules of the game. I'm going to show you some older technologies. If you know the answer, don't jump in right away, because it's fun to play these games with Gen Zers, because some of them have not a clue. And it's more fun to do this as a team, but we can't really do teams because we're virtual. But if you know the answer, don't jump in right away. Give people a chance to be creative and make a guess. So the wildest guess will get 10 points. If you actually know what it is, give yourself 10 points. We're going to self-score, and then we'll see what it is. All right. And I'll tell you when you can jump in if you know it. So let's do a practice one. Here's a practice one. Here's this thing. I actually have all these things, by the way. Here's this. It's relatively heavy. And I've got a 30-second radial timer up in the corner. If you like that, the link to where you can find it is also in my handout. What is this? Anybody want to jump in and guess? This is kind of a hard one. Anybody know what this is? Go ahead and jump in if you know what it is. And did anybody know?
Coin dispenser, coin holder, change counter.
You guys are so good. Yes, it's a coin dispenser. It's a coin dispenser. And actually, as a math person, you could do a sum by the weight. After a while, you got to know what you actually had, which is kind of a cool way to think about math. And here's the question. What the heck happened to making change? Used to be in a math class, you could tell people they need to learn those basic skills because you had to make change in a job. Change is gone. They're stopping taking cash at stores. So maybe we have to say goodbye to change, but I'll always have the change dispenser. All right, here's the first question. Here we go. There's a timer. If you know what it is, hold off just a second. What is that? What is that? There's my hand, so you have a scale of it. Anybody know what that is? Jump in if you know. Jump in if you know. What the heck is this thing? This was a critical piece of technology back in the day. And anybody know?
The inside of a record, a 45 converter, and went in the middle of the records.
This is good.
45 RPM adapter.
You guys are good. These are all correct. Give yourself 10 points if that's what you did. In the old days, there were two kinds of records. Actually, there were three, but let's say two big ones. And if you have vinyl now, you know how great vinyl is. In the old days, different companies produced different hardware. And the only way you could make it work is if they had their separate machines. So they wanted you, RCA wanted you to buy theirs, and the whole thing, you know, was a ecosystem, which Apple has gotten so good at. And the idea was if you wanted to be able to play your little 45 RPM on a bigger machine, you had to put this in the middle. And this is sort of what it looked like. This is sort of the combo technology. This is crossing the ecosystems where you actually have a 45 playing in a 33, and you see how that works. Anyway, you get the idea. So what do we learn from that now? Who can tell me what these things are? Let's see how much we've learned from the old 45 record insert. Anybody know what those things are? Go ahead and jump in if you know. Anne, what do you think? Anybody know?
Electric car charger.
Yes. Anybody for bonus points? Anybody know which ones they are?
Bulb
Maybe.
holders, car charger, patch cord connectors.
Very good. Yeah. This is the charging port for a Tesla and for a Chevy Volt. And notice they are different. It's like a 45 and a 33 back in the record days. And just now, just recently, have they allowed converters to come into play. So this is it. Just like RCA got it in the old days, Elon Musk now understands you've got this network of charging stations. Maybe you ought to be able to use them across platforms. So we have learned from old technologies. Okay, second question. What's that? And I'll just open this up now. Hopefully, we all know this from our times as teachers or our times as students. What
Lots
is
of
that thing?
VCRs. VCR.
VCR. Very good. What can we learn from a VCR? It turns out a lot. So here's the first family VCR. This was, notice the price here in 1981, $1,389, which is pretty impressive then. Why are we talking about that? Because Microsoft, who's invested heavily into artificial intelligence, is now saying, hey, as the law begins to evolve, the VCR is the model. The VCR is a model for AI copyright law. What does that mean? Here's what it means. With AI, here's a guy, my friend Greg, I'll just call him Greg. He did that, the dragon on the upper right. A generative AI, I believe I did this one myself, did the one on the bottom. But when the AI went out and looked for images of what I asked it to do, a dragon with fire in the background, red eyes and things like that, it probably went out and found Greg's material and then created the stuff I asked for based on his stuff. So he's suing, going, when you scraped the internet, you got my stuff. And that's an important deal because if this is Shazam, a movie that did not do too well, but there was the poster, who got paid for the poster? If they just had an AI generate it, then no one got paid. Because you can't copyright AI images, by the way. You can't copyright AI images. They have to be human, made by a human to get copyright. But what about Greg's work? Would he get paid for that? No, he wouldn't. So, and authors having the same thing. These authors and musicians are suing AI companies saying, you scraped our stuff. So how does that affect a VCR? Well, VCRs, again, 1981, this is a couple that came home and they're watching a video that they recorded off the air. They didn't buy the tape. They recorded it off the air because nobody was selling tapes in those days. They were only selling VCRs. This is we could spend a lot of time on this poster, on this ad, but JVC, VidStar, the platform that won. So the makers of the content, like Sony and Universal, they sued Universal and Disney sued people that made VCRs like Sony. And this was in 1984. And this seems like a pretty clear violation of copyright. I'm making a copy of something I haven't paid for that's come off the air. And the makers are going, no, you can't do that. You can't scrape the airwaves and then put it on your device and watch it whenever you want. And here was the ruling. The Supreme Court, looking at this nexus, realizing this could open a huge industry. Because remember, nobody was selling videotapes in those days. If the studios had won, they would have cut their own throats because this became a big revenue. Anyway, so the Supreme Court said, you know what? When you record off the air, you're not really making a copy. You're just shifting the time you're watching it. You're time shifting. So according to the Supreme Court, a VCR isn't a recording device, it's a time machine. So the idea that it's a time machine made it okay to copy because you were just shifting the time. You weren't making a copy. Anyway, so what do they do with AI? Hard to say, but these are the things that we learn from older technologies. Both technologies have their problems, by the way. This is a jumbled up VCR. These are hallucinations from Google's, the famous ones from Google's generative AI. If you asked for a Viking, it gave you a Native American Viking, which of course is a little contrary to history. And if you wanted a senator from the 1980s, it gave you diverse senators, US senators from the 1880s. which of course weren't around either. So kind of hallucinations there. Training will help all those things. Here's another guess then. Oh, did I do wait a minute. You see my training? Oh, did I not do? Let's see. Oh, no, anyway. Okay, let's keep going. Question number 3. What is that? What is that? What do you think, Ann?
We've got one response so far, beta,
Here's a clue.
VHS,
Yeah.
8-track tape.
Very good guess. It's the one on top, not the one on the bottom. Casablanca, my daughter and I's favorite movie. The answer is yes, it is a beta format. So beta was the first, Sony made beta, was the first real format of videotape. And you think, why is that important? Well, let's think about that. When you look at AIs now, AIs are losing a lot of money making their AIs available free. The headset makers are losing, with the exception of Apple, money on every headset they make because they're so expensive to make and they want to get a market share. Well, why? Well, this is a picture of back in the day when we created a lot of content on VHS and we actually ran student awards for content creation. That's our videotapes. But this is the market share of Sony Betamax, which was a competitor with VHS. And you see that from 1976, they had 100% market share. 1988, 12 years later, was basically gone. So their VHS won, which is when companies like Meta or OpenAI think, oh gosh, we can't make money right away, but if we can just become the dominant platform, then we'll work. So that's how this stuff works. And by the way, even back in those days, kids and teachers were creating content. One of the reasons I was so excited about Discovery Education, which started as United Streaming, was you could download the videos and then create content with them without having to carry around that giant camera, which is pretty fun. If you're interested in student-created content in media, by the way, a link to the California Student Media Festival, which has been around 59 years, the oldest one in the country. Be a judge. Be a judge and look at this great work that kids have done. And if you want to see examples of great work, go and look at the winners page. Don't do it now. We're in the middle of a session. All right, so let's keep going. Here's also something we've learned from VCRs. If you saw the immersive learning sessions, that was important. And if you think about headsets, look at the price of a VCR. 1981, that was $1,300. In today's dollars, and the calculation is online if you want to go to it, is about $4,000. That's what a VCR would cost in today's dollars if we were buying it, which means that for the same price as a VCR in 1981, you could buy 20 MetaQuest 2s for $199. You could buy 8 of the MetaQuest 3s. All these are great devices. Or you could buy 3/4 of an Apple Vision Pro, and of course I had to get one, but I certainly wouldn't recommend it for a school. Anyway, so there you go. And all of these things, by the way, will benefit from training. And I've done trainings and all these things. There's me back when I was a teacher. This is in the 80s, training people how to use VCRs and cameras to create content. So you didn't have to just take the content that was given to you. You could make it your own, which is, of course, a big part of the DNA of Discovery Education. So let's keep going. All right, number 4. Number 4. Go ahead and jump in if you know the answer to this. I will say when you show this to young people, can you guess what they think it is? Anyway, put that in the chat. Ann, what do you think?
Everyone's saying floppy disk.
Floppy disk, of course. Except if you're really young, you think it's the save icon,
Yeah.
right? Because like, what does that mean? Why does it save? Here's why. It's floppy disk. Now, that's a misnomer. It was neither floppy nor a disk. I mean, inside it was a disk. So it was it's a misnomer. You want to see another one? Here's another one. This is neither X-rated nor divorced. X, right? It's neither X-rated nor is it divorced. So thank you, Elon Musk, for that. Okay. Here's a question number 5. We're trying to get through 10. This is not a tech, but this is something that had a lot to do with the cultures that we all lived with. Where would you find this thing? Where would you find this thing?
Everyone's saying a car ashtray.
Very good. Where in the car?
In the
Where in the
door,
car?
in the seat, the side door, where the
Yes,
lighter
yes,
was.
yes. The lighters. That's the way you brought DC into the car. This was from the back seat of a car. I actually found this in my garage. This from the back seat, and you had it in the rear armrest because you got to be able to smoke in the back too, right? Got to be able to smoke in the back seat of a car. Everybody smokes. Here's the second answer. It is a rear armrest tray. Here's the other answer that somebody pointed out. These things are still outside airport lavatories. Above the this is the last time I was on a plane. Above the lavatory latch is a thing that says no smoking, and underneath there is an ashtray. So apparently it's harder to replace the doors than to take out the ashtray, but it's the same one that was in the back of a car seat. Anyway, there you go. All right, number six. Number six. What's this? And it had no keyboard, it had no Bluetooth, only had a headphone jack, and had a very proprietary dongle. And you get bonus points if you can tell me what generation that is. Any takers on this one, Ann?
So everyone's saying iPod, and then we're getting 2007, Gen 2, 2008, the first generation,
Oh, you
third
got it.
generation, a shuffle.
What an active group. Shuffle was later based on the same
Yep.
technology. This is actually, yes, this is, and I used to say this was the first gen because I actually have a first gen, but the pictures I took were this one. And this is, according to Wikipedia, this is really a fifth gen iPod. But it was still not in color. You had the blue font and the accents, but it was not in color. And this was the first year that you could put a video in it. Now there's a record on here because here's one of the things we can learn from the past is when you had an iPod full of, or a shuffle full of material, you owned it. You had to buy it to put it in there. That means like a record, you owned it. And that's very different than streaming. Those of you that have streaming know that if you had Spotify, one day somebody stole all your Neil Young records because Neil Young was gone in one day. And that'll happen. You'll have something you love and it's gone because you don't have control because you don't own it. You lease it. They want you to do that. This is the model that works for them. So which is why records were the number one selling medium for music in the old days. Okay, so next question. And I hope we're we're learning from this. It's kind of fun to think about this. What is this? What is this?
A Viewmaster, and some are saying a View and C, but Viewmaster is a little more popular.
Yes, so it is in fact a part of a ViewMaster. A ViewMaster was a pretty cool technology. One of these two. Why does this inform new technology? Well, here's a town in Arkansas, Walnut Ridge, Arkansas, and they wanted to celebrate their 150th anniversary, and they wanted to show how much the town had changed. So when you think about that, they had a couple of choices, and as an early adopter, I will tell you there were great ways to do this. This is augmented reality. We talked a lot about it today in sessions. So I was in England, and if you hold up your phone, you could actually see what it looked like in the old days. Very, very cool. A lot of American cities did things like that. I know they hired Kathy Schrock to do this, I think in Chicago. Here's the only trouble. If you walk around to these same sites now, you'll get this. Because as every generation of phone updates, all those apps, all those foundations and nonprofit that created this little history, they're gone. They moved on to something else. There is no updating. So you can't do this anymore on a new phone. What's the solution? Well, here's a way to learn from that. This is a museum in the San Francisco airport. If I broke the glass and borrowed those ViewMasters, they would still work. They would still work. The apps from 5 years ago that I can't get to work in England, this would still work. I could take these to England and they still work. So in Walnut Ridge, I think this is very cool. They took the old pictures, and rather than doing augmented reality, believe me, a huge fan of augmented reality. But to make sure that it'll work in 10 years, you've got hardware that's completely bulletproof on its own software. So good work, Walnut Ridge. And here's an idea I wish I'd thought of. My daughter's getting married soon, and videographers, photographers, how about a custom reel? Because if I had put my marriage on tape, that's how old I am. It wouldn't even have been a cassette. It would have been the reel-to-reel Sony stuff you had in the old days. Could I play it now? I don't think so. But this Viewmaster, hey, that'll still be good. All right, so that's a Viewmaster. And if you actually want to have somebody make a custom one for you, the link is yes in the resource handouts. All right, another one. Here we go. We're going to make it through all of them. I'm impressed with this group, Ann. Of course, they're at DENSI.
They're amazing.
They're the best. ¿Qué es esto? ¿Qué son estos discos gigantica? What is that? I had a computer interface. It was interactive. A couple of big brands, Pioneer and Philips. If you look at them today, I actually have Laserdisc players. The resolution is amazingly crappy to my modern eye. What do you think? Anybody know what that is, Ann?
We've got CD, video disc, laser disc, lots of laser discs.
Yeah, I should have brought this out. Because for kids, this is like a visual joke. You go, hey, what's this? But it is, in fact, you're right, absolutely right. It is a laser disc. And there were interactive laser discs. So you could have an Apple computer, which was a different computer back then, but you could find any spot on the laser disc and pull it up for a class. It was really good, really powerful. No one learned how to use it. It was dead in a year. Anyway, so that's it. So that's number 8. So if you got laser disc, give yourself 10 points. And I hope you're keeping your own scores. All right, bonus question. This isn't one of the questions, but back in the old days when you dialed 411, who answered? You dialed 411. Who answered?
Information. The operator.
Yes.
Information. The operator.
An actual person. And you could get everybody's personal information on there. Hey, what's the phone number of Ann Crilly? Here you go. What's her address? Here you go. So things have changed a little bit, but think about this and watch it. It's this is a clue for later on a phone. What's a modern equivalent of 411? What do you think? You want somebody's personal information? What do you think?
Google.
Yeah, Google. And they're getting better about personal information now. Privacy is a very big deal. So you can no longer look up the address. It's interesting, as a middle school teacher in Los Angeles in the 80s, my name was in the phone book, my address, my telephone number, home telephone number. And I think in 10 years of teaching, I got one phone call, like he, hang up. Anyway, who knows? So that's another one. Okay, here's number 9. This is the hardest one in our quiz. This is the hardest one. What is this? And I'll give you a hint. It's a telecommunication security device. What did it do? What did it do? Take a look and tell me. What is that? I'm giving you a hint. It is a telecommunication security device. This is the hardest one.
We have lots of locks, but then we have a couple specific ones. We have a filing cabinet lock, a phone lock, a computer lock, a phone book lock, another filing cabinet lock.
Phone book. Oh, good. It looks a lot like a filing cabinet lock. Yes, indeed. But no, it was for the phone. It was for the phone. And here's what it looked like. In the old days, in an office, there was a phone. If you wanted somebody to call the hardware store, they had to have a phone. And you pick up the phone and said, hi, this is, Rompage Hardware Store. But that same phone could be used to dial out. So if I wanted to call Honduras, all I got to do is look around, dial the area code, and then I can talk to Honduras. Very expensive back then. And the bill goes to the owner of the phone. So in those situations, you put this little lock on the one, and then you couldn't dial out. You physically couldn't make the dial move. So, eventually figured as we went to digital and it became sonic, people like Steve Wozniak, the co-founder of Apple, could go like and actually dial because it was done by tone. So there were phone freaks, they were called PH freaks, PHREAK, and phone hackers. Anyway, that's what it was. Believe it or not, it kept unauthorized use of your telecommunications device. And anybody who's had a kid who's old enough to use Amazon on their phone really wishes there was something like this on the phone. I mean, yes, you can put in layers of passwords and all that kind of stuff, but somehow physical key, a little easier. Bonus question. That's the first remote control. The first remote, Zenith remote control. What does the FF button save? What does the FF button save? FF. Fast forward. What does it save? You have to think about this a little bit. And
Time.
oh, who answered that? That is very good. Yes, it saves time. It's my AI depiction of time. Thank you, ChatGPT. So in Netflix, you don't need the remote anymore. You can just use whatever device you have, including your phone, to skip the intro. So if you skip the intro, here's a question for you. How many collective hours, in other words, all the Netflix subscribers, if you look at the time, because they track this, if you look at the time saved in the skip intro, skip intro, you save 35 seconds. Collectively, every day, how much time is saved by using the skip intro part? 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. How much time is saved every day by all the users of Netflix by using the skip intro button? How much time is saved? What do you, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Anybody? And what's a popular guess?
They are all over the place. There's a lot of 2s, a couple 3s.
All right, so
but someone just said 6.
6, there you go. More time than there is. Is time infinite? Whole other session. Here's the answer. The answer is 195 years. So every day, we as a people are saving 195 years so we have time for TikTok or whatever, or to read a book on physics. But here's the t-shirt. You can actually buy this. How many of you would wear this to a meeting? Just walk into a meeting, we're all meeting. Just walk in wearing a t-shirt that says skip intro. How much time could we save in education if we skipped intro? Anyway, just say yes if you'd, you know what, I should have given one of these away to the point total. Just think of that. Okay. Anybody say yes, they'd wear that to a meeting, Ann?
Lots of yeses.
Any place you see chart paper, wear that t-shirt. All right. Bonus question number 2. No points for this, but who invented the wireless remote? Nikola Tesla, Zenith Corporation, Santa Paws. Get it? Elon Musk. Who invented the wireless remote?
Everyone is saying Zenith.
Zenith manufactured the first remote, but actually it's Nikola Tesla. Believe it or not, if you look it up, and I did, and the link is where? In the resource doc. You'll be able to see that Tesla actually did his prototype back in the day, Nikola Tesla. Okay, so that's the answer to that one. A bunch of Zenith remotes in there, but actually invented by Nikola Tesla. All right, this is nearly the last one. Running out of time. What is this? What is this? Now, this I used to use all the time in schools, at home, but a lot of people just don't know in this age of streaming. Anybody know that one, Ann?
Cable splitter.
Yes.
And then I like this one. Hold on. Oh, it keeps scrolling. Hold on. Plug your VIC-20 or your Nintendo into the TV.
Actually, I'm trying to think. VIC-20, you need a coaxial converter, which you could actually make. You could actually convert all those signals into a TV. So yes, that's an answer. I'll take that as an answer too. But it is a coaxial cable splitter. And the modern equivalent, if you have Netflix, we're talking about Netflix, is if you're sharing a password. Because in those days, you paid the cable company for a drop, a single drop. I want cable in my house. It's $19 a month or whatever it was. But once it went in your house, you could split it and you could send it to another room and you had like 2 or maybe 4. So you could Radio Shack saved a lot of people a lot of money. I'll explain Radio Shack later. All right, near the end, but congratulations, those of you who back in the old days did the hardware equivalent of sharing a login and password. So as we get close to the end, I want to do a reverse. This is looking at something now, and I want you to guess how we used to do it. So this is Amazon, and the link is here. You can actually buy houses on Amazon. You can buy tiny houses, particularly. There's one for $10,000, one for $1,000, a little kit. So the question is, oh, by the way, when I did this search, number 9 best-selling house is actually an emotional support cucumber. I'm not making this up. So if you do the search and you click on the same link and it hasn't fixed it yet, you can actually get a crochet for a cucumber to turn it into an emotional support cucumber. Can't make this stuff up. All right. So what in the old days did we do? What's the equivalent? Where would we go if we wanted to buy a house or a pen or a shirt or a tractor? Where did we go in the old days? And you wanted it delivered to your home. Hint, by the U.S. Postal Service. What did we do before Amazon? What were the first Amazons? Anybody have an answer to that?
We have lots of Sears newspaper catalog, the Sears catalog,
You guys are so good.
JCPenney.
You need to download this whole thing and play it for your children or for kids in class. They'll have no clue. But yes, the answer is Sears and Roebuck. Look, you could buy guns, guitars, houses, and Montgomery Ward. So when my grandmother died and we finally redid the house, we discovered the walls actually were white, not yellow. She and her husband, she and my grandfather were big smokers. By the end of they never painted the house. All the walls were yellow. I'll let you guess for that. But when we took down the walls, we found that there's her actual house, Georgetown, Kentucky, on the left, Jackson Street, 115 Jackson Street. We found it came from Montgomery Ward. So I actually went online and found the old catalog where my grandmother and my grandfather for $2,578 bought an Elizabethan house. Now, you notice it's some things are slightly changed because you got the option, put the front door on the side or in the back, or so you could customize it. But that was the house that I spent summer vacations in with my grandmother. So that's sort of the way that it works. There's more, but I think I'm out of time. But this has been very fun for me to be able to take some of these old technologies and really to think about how they inform the future. So I hope you've also benefited from this. It's fun. These slides and all the resource links are in that link. You can see it right there too. I don't know if I put the graffiti font in there, but you can find that. But there it is. So please take the slides. You can give attribution or not, say it's yours, but have a good time. But thank you very much. And I'm going to stick around and read all the chat. I never got to see the chat, but anyway,
it's so good.
Have
I
I
can
ended
also
on
save
time?
it.
What?
You are spot on time. Good job, which is rare for you. So I'm actually really proud of you.
Very rare. And look, I have all these other slides I could have done, but I didn't. So there we go. All
No,
right.
Hall, thank you
Thanks
so
very much,
much.
everybody.
This was awesome. Everyone, we've got one more session to close out the day and their feedback session, some of our favorites. So lots of our products are looking to hear from you, see what they're working on and how it's going to work in the classroom. So I hope you'll join a feedback session, and then I will see you all back tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m. Eastern for day 2. Thanks so much. Thanks, Hall.
Thank you. A lot of fun. Oh, I'm liking the chat. How fun.
I'll save it for you too.
Oh, thank you. Anyway, bye, everybody.